Something beyond emotions.
Well, there are two questions I asked you.
Mm-hmm.
What is beyond beauty? And what is beyond emotions?
Fear?
That's an emotion.
Give me a hint.
Truth.
That's the answer.
That's the answer.
Okay.
You are looking for truth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what kinds of truth are there?
All kinds.
Yes, but then it becomes meaningless. Well, there's a physical truth, right? If I do that, then I'm showing you 5 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth, but
Yeah.
it's doesn't mean too much. Most people repeat opinions. When I speak with someone, after a while I get really, or maybe even 1 or 2 minutes, if I begin to see that he is giving me opinions,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested. Because I know that has nothing to do with truth.
Mm-hmm.
Most people will tell you about things that they have heard,
Mm-hmm.
they have read, or will repeat some so-called historical facts,
Mm-hmm.
or repeat what they have read in the newspapers or on television.
Yeah.
And that's not the truth, because usually we don't have enough access to the sources.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either a partial truth or it's completely false, because sometimes, you have archives which are kept secret for 50 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they are published. Oh, so that's the way it was, and I didn't know about it. And who killed Kennedy? No one knows.
Yeah.
But you have 100 theories about
Yeah.
it.
True. Yeah.
But no one knows. So that kind of truth is difficult to have an access to it, because you don't have access to the sources. So it's not the kind of truth that interests us.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing is with you take photographs. Well, everything that you photograph is, unless you manipulate in Photoshop and so on, is the truth, because that's what you saw.
Yeah.
But as you know, it's not an interesting truth. It's simply a description, an illustration of what you have seen, nothing more than that.
Yeah.
So who is interested? Well, from a historical point of view, if you would like to see how Rotterdam looked before it was bombed, well, that's very valuable,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the roles of photography. But there are 2 truths that are very, very important. One is the scientific truth, which you can find in some areas, in some restricted domains, in physics or astronomy or mathematics. Everything is true. That's something else. But these are limited truths, and those you can find. In biology, there is no truth,
Mm-hmm.
because it's mainly statistical. No 2 people are alike.
No.
If you find a remedy for something, when it may work 70% of the cases, so it's not true.
Yeah.
It's statistical.
Yes.
So that you have to take into account. But there is one thing that is true, and this is what you said without knowing it.
Okay. Really?
And that's love.
Yeah.
But it's not love for one person.
Mm-mm.
It's a universal love.
Yeah.
And that love is an inner truth. It's a spiritual truth.
Yeah.
It's something that you feel when you are absolutely free, completely free, no fears, no positive or negative emotions, nothing. At that moment, you are nobody. And it's perfect being nobody. Do you realize that?
Yes. It seems like a really nice feeling.
It's not a feeling, it's a very deep experience, being nobody. You don't care about the opinions of others, you don't care about your ambitions, you don't want to achieve anything, you have no fear, you are completely a free person. And this is the true definition of art.
Mm-hmm.
Art is a human creation that makes you free as a person for a certain period of time, maybe a small period of time, right? You cannot be free all the time, because you would not be able to function in reality, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that is the real art. When you do something, you create something that in other people that gives other people a sense of absolute freedom. Now, is there something that an artist can brag about? No, because what he is giving to others is not his.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that you open up, you receive a certain kind of unknown energy. You don't know, some people, materialistic people, will say, well, it's all chemical reactions, but it's there.
Yeah.
Other people will say, well, it's a cosmic energy that came inside. No one knows, right? But you have it, you create in such a state, and then you can give it to others who are prepared to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
Receive it. So what is a good definition of an artist? He's a spiritual courier. Nothing more.
Okay.
Nothing more than that. So am I going to be, first of all, I never call myself an artist.
Mm-hmm. I never do that.
Because it's only a temporary state.
Yeah.
That happens from time to time.
Yeah.
But it's not a permanent state. And another thing is that it's not something that I'm giving from myself. I'm only an intermediary.
Mm.
Okay, and that is what is not taught in schools. Because the people who teach it have never experienced it.
Okay.
So how can they
Yeah.
teach something that they have never experienced?
So do you think that's because they are not open to it, or they just too focused on, making it in the world, like money and other things?
Well, there's something which is written in the Bible, which is
Mm-hmm.
very interesting, which is we are all made in the image of God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that has several interpretations, but to me the best interpretation is that every one of us has a spiritual potential. And that spiritual potential is what makes us in the image of God.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for some people it's not God, it's energy, it's light and so on. It doesn't matter how you call it, the name is not important.
Mm-hmm.
But the importance is the experience or the feeling itself, which goes beyond emotions. And everyone has a potential to do it, in that we are equal.
Yeah.
We're not equal in talent, intelligence, and so on. That's not true. But in our spiritual potential, everyone is equal. But most people don't develop it. One is because they are not even aware that they have such a potential. And the second thing, it requires a lot of work on oneself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the consciousness, for instance, a consciousness which is very difficult to have.